If I told you that nobody made this phone, not Apple, not Samsung, not Nokia, nobody made this phone. Out of billions of years, grains of sand just came together and made this phone as it is, right? Like when I look at it, it opens, unlocks, right? But nobody programmed that function. It just, over billions of years, through natural selection and random mutation, it became, right? And this camera right here, this came out of nowhere. And it just developed, right? All the functionality, all the apps, all of that from nowhere. Would you believe that? What do you think?
Just from that, I cannot believe.
You cannot believe that, right? Why?
I cannot believe that from nothing to create such a complicated thing.
Amazing, great, great. What's more complicated, you, your eyes, your mind, your brain, your ears, your mouth, your lungs, your kidney, the functions in your body, or this phone?
Taking everything into account, probably us.
Probably us, right? I would agree, right? So, if a phone cannot come by itself, and you agreed that the human body is more complex, more detailed, more perfectly designed than a phone, how could it come by itself?
Well, of course, there's a theory of evolution. And
Sure.
The idea that life adapts and mutates. And it's
I have
survival.
no problem with life adapting and mutating, but the question gets to be, I gave you the same theory of evolution for the phone, right? But it didn't make sense because of the perfection that you see in the use of the phone. But the same theory of evolution, why would it make sense for something more complicated? You see, this is why I asked you if this evolved over billions of years, right, by itself. You said that doesn't make sense, and I agree with you. So if that doesn't make sense, no way can this evolve by itself, right? Think about this, and I studied evolution. It's not like I don't know about it. I have a master's in hadith. I also have a master's in secular studies. I work in the med device industry, right? We are told that there's random mutation, right? Randomly. But think about it. If it's random, who evolves that? Who coordinates that, right? Think about this. From randomness, can you get perfection? Like if I take ink and paper, and I randomly just blot pieces of paper, can I write out Hamlet?
Sorry?
And Hamlet's not even perfect, but I'm just saying, right? You can't, right? Imagine I told you, I took paper and ink, and I just threw ink at paper, and I got Hamlet. So think about that, right? If we take random mutation, then we would randomly be changing, right? You know the minimum gene concept, right? So you can look it up when you go home on the internet, but there is a minimum set of genetics that must be there for any living organism, right? Which cannot go, according to scientists, under 200. The minimum we see usually is 390 something, right? So think about that. If that was already needed for a living organism and we evolved, then we would have evolved from having less genetics than that. Right? The first would have had less. But we know scientifically it couldn't have survived. That means the first living organism had to have had that minimum set of genetics already. Who programmed that? There has to be a creator, right? Think about this. If you cannot get Hamlet out of randomly throwing ink on paper, how would you get the perfection? Look at your body. This phone, if I drop it here to the metal or the ground, even with the case, probably crack, right? Will it heal itself? Will certain parts start to mend by itself? But imagine, may Allah protect you, but if you fell and scraped yourself, even if you didn't do anything, your body immediately starts to heal. It scabs it up. It starts to heal. If you have an infection from it, white blood cells go and start attacking it. Like, imagine, how did that come out of nowhere? Evolution can't explain that, right? What is the purpose of creation? Evolution can't tell you, right? You understand? Why are we here? How did we get here? Where are we going? What's after death? Evolution doesn't answer any of that. It's just a theory. It's not even a fact. Darwin's ideology of evolution has been rebuked and rebutted by many evolutionists today. A lot of what he thought was wrong. So these are guesses. These are theories. Till today, there is no scientific evidence that can be proven in a controlled clinical trial for interspecies evolution, right? When they talk about evolving birds with different colors or longer beaks, well, they're still birds. It's not like now they're no longer birds, right? So these are things you have to think through, because knowing the Creator, knowing the purpose of your creation, knowing truth from falsehood can lead a person into hell or heaven, everlasting bliss or torture. So it's not something to play with, right? Let me give you an idea. a great creator who's not created himself. He's always been there and will always be there and knows everything and sees everything and created this universe, created the stars, created the suns, created us in that perfection that we have, evolved us to our environments, gave us the tools needed to get to what we need to eat and drink, right? So if an animal needs a longer neck, it is that Allah that helps that whole species grow. If an animal needs feathers, then it is that Allah that designed for them to have feathers, right? That Allah that designs your heart that beats without you even thinking about it. That Allah that made a pancreas that gives you insulin in perfect measure to the glucose that you need to break down, who designed all that. And He gave us a guidance, the Quran. You have the Quran? And here, inshallah, I'm going to give this to you as a gift. It's free for you, right? The words of that Allah translated into a language you speak so you can know what the purpose of your life is, right? What do you think about that message? Does it make sense? Now go ahead. So what do you think about the message I gave you?
I think it's overrated.
It is, but does it make sense?
I can see it.
Yeah. You can see it, good. You can see it making sense. Relax. There's no pressure on you. You don't have to do a PhD in Islamic studies or something. But just think about this. One God, no kids, no roommates, no power sharing, no it's my turn and your turn to run the universe kind of stuff, no 3-in-1s and 2-in-1s, ice cream flavors and all that. Just one great creator that created us with a purpose. Does that make sense? Yes? If it doesn't, tell me no, it's okay. But I think it makes sense. You think it makes sense?
I can see it makes sense, but it's still a lot.
It is a lot, but take it step by step, right? The fact that there is an amazing system in your body, your heart that pumps, your liver, your kidney, does it make sense that somebody would have designed that? Okay, let's go back. Does it make sense that somebody designed this phone?
It does make sense.
Okay. Is this phone more complex than your body? Okay. So if it makes sense that the functionality of this phone was designed, wouldn't it make sense, or more sense, that the functionality of your body, the functionality of the universe, the oxygen that we breathe, and carbon dioxide that we put out, and plants take that carbon dioxide and put out oxygen, it would make more sense that all of this definitely has a creator. Make sense? Yeah? I know when I say this, there is a voice whispering to kind of make you back away from it. Don't think I don't know about it, right? Why? Because there is what we call shaitan. And his whole job is to keep you away from the truth. But you have to let your inner faith, your fitrah, or your natural belief come through. You know it makes sense. We're not asking you to sign up to a cult or something. Relax. It's just about your belief. Muslims, we have a very natural belief. We have a very close relationship with Allah. It's not like the Church of England or Catholics. We gotta go kiss some Pope's feet or some weird stuff. No, this is all between you and your Creator, right? That Creator brought you here today. That Allah wrote for you to come here so you can hear the message. Now it's up to you whether you accept or reject, right? It's that a choice Allah gave people. Either they can accept or reject. But then there's consequences to every choice, right? Now, if this phone cannot come by itself, and we agreed you came as a more complex being, and if this phone had a designer, had a manufacturer, had a creator, then you have a designer, a manufacturer, a creator, right? That creator sent you a message, because imagine when you bought, I'm sure you have a phone, right? So when you bought your phone, when you opened the box, were there instructions inside, right? Why? Because there are certain things you should and shouldn't do with your phone, right? Like if I want to bake an egg, and I want to put this on my oven and throw an egg on top, what's going to happen to my phone? I'm not going to have it anymore. And I'm going to be out maybe 1,000 pounds or something, right? I don't know how much phones are out here, right? But the manufacturer tells you, hey, don't do that. Don't put this in certain types of heat. Certain depths of water it can handle, some it cannot, right? Because the manufacturer, the designer knows best, right? And that's only intelligent. Imagine tomorrow if you design something new, a new technology, wouldn't you give some instructions with it? Right? Because you're intelligent. But our Creator is more intelligent than us. He's the most intelligent. He's the most knowing because He created us, right? So that Creator is not going to leave you without guidance. And that guidance is going to come. Just like the Prophet Jesus, he brought a message to his people. Not to worship idols, not to worship graven images, to worship none but one Lord, right? Just like that, before him, the Prophet Moses, peace and blessings be upon all the prophets, he brought a message to the people of Israel. Don't worship golden cows, don't worship people, don't worship idols, worship the one God. right? Abraham, same message. Ishmael, same message. Go back, all the way back to Noah, to Adam, same message. From that time till the time of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon all the prophets, they all brought one message. Worship the one true creator, the one true Lord. Don't worship idols, don't worship people, don't worship prophets. Worship none but that one Lord and follow the Prophet of your time. Right? Does that make sense? Imagine, what phone do you have right now? What kind of phone do you have? Android.
6.
Okay, so it's a 6, right? Imagine if you have the instructions from the first or second one. Would that work with the 6th? No, because the 6th has new technologies, there are updates, right? There are things that have changed. So you always want to go with the latest and greatest, right? So now the messages that came over time came to the true prophets. But when people would hide messages, and when they would write things themselves and attribute it to God, then Allah brought the last final message. Wouldn't it make sense to follow the final one? Yes? All this makes sense to you, right? It fits, right? I know it's a lot to take in, relax. But if it makes sense to you, if you see it to be more common sense, you could say, than to think that a phone came by itself, or a human came by itself, or the universe came by itself, then what would hold you back from accepting such a beautiful message? Nothing? Good. You're on your way to the truth.